Good evening all, and I welcome you all to AgriAddict online plant science sessions. So with the ongoing sessions, we'll be coming to the end of plant breeding courses. Okay. So in today's class, I will be dealing about PPV, FRA, and IPR. So these two are most important topics, right? And a sort of new type of topics. Okay. So let us start the session. So with these lectures, in case of PPV, FRA, that is your Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmer Rights Act, right? So you will be able to know how PPVFR has established and what is the history of it, okay? And then you will know about what are the objectives of this agency or authority, right? So what does it offer? So you will see everything. In case of IPR, that is your intellectual property rights, we'll also look into the brief history and what are the different forms of protection, right? How are they being utilized around the globe and what is the Indian scenario? So we'll be focusing mostly on the Indian scenario in case of your IPR. So coming to PPVFRA. So history and then genesis. I hope everyone knows about TRIPS agreement, right? So there was a TRIPS agreement around 1994 or 1995. So with which all the nations have come on a common platform to agree on something. So the TRIPS agreement has been came into force, and then in this TRIPS agreement itself, so all the member countries, they should have a system or a provision to protect all the plant varieties in a particular country. Okay, so they can protect the plant varieties by two forms. Either it can be by using the patents in the country itself, or they can develop a sui generis system. It is nothing but your separate and self-esteemed organization type of thing, right? So they can either protect the plant variety directly by giving patent to the plant variety, or they can have a separate system. Or there was also one free thing that they can also protect the plant varieties by combining both the patent and then the sui generis system, right? So this was the agreement which was made, TRIPS agreement, right? All the member nations should have a particular form of protection to their plant varieties. And when we see the Indian Patent Act, which was passed in 1970, so in India, the patent, it excluded both agriculture and horticultural methods of production, right? So no one can claim that a patent of a crop or a variety, right? So India have excluded it in the Indian Patent Act. So India can't go by patent method according to the TRIPS agreement. And there is only the other option left, that is your designing a self general system, that is a new system. So India exercised this option, right, to facilitate protection to the plant varieties. To facilitate protection to the varieties, so India has chosen this option. And there comes the establishment of PPVFRA, that is your Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers Rights Act, right? So this is very important. It can be in the statement type of questions. According to TRIPS agreement, all the member countries of this TRIPS, they need to have certain system to protect the plant varieties. So they can either protect by using the patents, or they need to establish a self sui generis system, right? In case of India, the Indian Patent Act, it has excluded the agricultural and horticultural production methods from patenting. So no one in India can patent a crop or a crop variety, etc. So the only option left is to design a unique system, right? So India used this option, and then they have developed a authority named Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers Rights Act. So when we see the brief history So now we saw how the PPV FRA has formed, that is your genesis. And then when we see how it has formulated. So PPV FRA, the act was in 2001. This is very important. Okay, so please to remember the act has came in 2001, and then the rules in 2003. It was approved in 2004, and then authority has formed in 2005. And at last, the rules and regulations were framed on 7th December 2006. Okay, in the PPVFRA. So it is an organization under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So it headquartered at New Delhi. The present chairperson is Dr. KV Prabhu of PPVFRA, right? So you need to know this information. So the chairperson, if chairperson changes, you need to have an updated information. So please go through the PPVFRA website until you reach your JRF exam. And it is headquartered at New Delhi, and it is under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So what is the function of this PPVFRA? So the name itself, it is clearly indicating it protects the plant varieties, right? And also the farmer rights. So it protects the plant varieties as well as the farmers rights, right? So this is the main function of your PPVFRA. And coming to the objectives, so I've just discovered the name itself indicates some of the important functions, right? So it is used for the protection of the plant varieties, point number one. And it also provides rights to farmers as well as plant breeders. Okay, so it protects the plant varieties. It gives some specific rights to farmers, plant breeders, and even researchers. Okay, it also provides some rights to the researchers. So farmers, plant breeders, and then the researchers. So the main objective. And based on these objectives, there are some other objectives which are derived. So it is used to stimulate investment for research and development and to facilitate the growth of seed industry, right? So this is the basis of everything. So it also helps in investment for research and development in the seed industry, which ultimately leads to supply high quality of seeds and planting materials for the farmers. So hope you are clearly understood about the objectives. The main objectives of PPFRA is protection of the plant varieties and to grant some rights to farmers, researchers as well as the plant breeders, and to help the seed industry grow and make the farmers available with the high quality seeds and planting materials. So these are the straight and particular objectives of PPVFI. And then, so we said that okay, some plant varieties can be protected in under the PPVFRA Act, that is your protection of plant varieties and farmers' right Act. So what are the different types of varieties that can be protected, right? So we will see three different varieties. One, we call it as extant variety. Two, EDVs, will get the abbreviation. And then the third is your farmers variety. Okay. So what is an extant variety? So extant variety is any variety which is available in India. Okay, so it should be available in India, point number one. Okay, and then it should be notified by Seed Act of 1966 under Section 5. So Section 5 notifies, its function is notifications. So the variety should be available in India and it should be notified under the Section 5 of your Seed Act 1966. Okay, so and then it can be any farmer's variety. Okay, right, or a variety which is in the public domain for a long time. Okay, so these varieties, they generally come under the extant variety. So it should be available in India. Particularly, it should be notified under Section 5 of Seed Act 1966, or it might be your farmer's variety which is available in India, and it is a variety which is largely used in the public domain. Okay, so these types of varieties are known as your extant varieties. And then the coming to the second type, it is your EDVs. So EDVs is nothing but, please note down, it is essentially derived variety. Essentially derived variety. Okay. So this is your EDV. So the name itself indicates that it is a derived variety, which means initially a variety was present, but from this variety there is a certain type of same variety which is derived based on our importance. So essentially it is essentially a derived variety. Okay. Ultimately we derive this variety from the initial variety, but it should be clearly distinguishable from this initial variety. Okay. So the essentially derived variety, it should be clearly distinguishable from the initial variety. So please do note down this. These might be the questions in the statement forms. So essentially derived variety should be clearly distinguishable from initial variety from which it has been derived. Okay. And then, so if you want to tell me in the form of a example, so let us consider there is a rice variety Swarna. And then to this rice variety Swarna, we have imparted blast resistant genes. So Swarna is the initial variety, and then at last blast resistant Swarna is essentially the derived variety, where only this genes has been incorporated in it. Okay. So essentially all the characters between Swarna and blast resistant Swarna should be very same. Okay. So this ultimately is known as your essentially derived varieties. It should be clear cut differentiation between Swarna and blast resistant Swarna in the terms of what you have added. Okay. So the essentially derived variety in this case, it clearly distinguishes from Swarna in the terms of blast resistance. But in the other terms like cooking quality, etc., it should be similar with the Swarna. Okay. So this is your EDVs, and these EDVs can also be protected under your PPV FRA. So first thing is your extent variety, and then second is your essentially derived varieties, and the third one is your farmers variety. So what is this farmer variety? So farmers varieties are nothing but where farmers are traditionally cultivating some varieties from few years. Okay, in their farmers field itself, traditionally cultivating varieties, right, in their fields. So farmers itself, they have been cultivating and then protecting some varieties, okay, from the past few years. Such varieties, they come under the farmers varieties. So they might be your wild relatives, or they might be the land races. Okay. So farmers will be having more and more common knowledge on these things, right? So traditionally cultivating varieties in the farmers field for the past few years, which might be your wild relatives and land races, where farmers have some common knowledge. So those varieties are known as your farmers varieties. So extant varieties, essentially derived varieties, and farmers varieties. These three types of varieties can be protected under your PPV FRA. Right? So if you want to protect the varieties, so there will be some eligibility conditions. Right? So how? Okay, you can protect the extant variety, EDV, and farmers varieties. So what are the eligibility criteria for it? So the eligibility criteria, it is in the terms of test. So it needs to undergo some eligibility test, and this test is known as ENDUS. Okay. So I'll just tell you what is this ENDUS test. So in case of ENDUS test, the N, it represents for your novelty, which means the variety should be a new one, right? And then D represents your distinctiveness, right? It should be distinguished from the other varieties. And then U refers to uniformity. It should be uniform wherever it goes. and S refers to stability. It should have a stable performance across the country. So if it has passed this eligibility test of ENDUS, that is your novelty, which is unique, distinctiveness, which can be distinguishable, and the uniformity and stability, right? So if it passes this ENDUS test, then that type of variety can be protected, okay, under your PPV FRA. So, okay, let us assume that a variety has passed this ENDUS test, that is the eligibility criteria, right? And for how many years can the variety be protected? Okay, so coming to the period of protection in the PPV FRA, okay, so it is divided into two categories. One is for trees and then the vines. Okay, so whereas in case of this, the protection period of 18 years is being given from the date of registration of that variety. Okay, in the PPV FRA. So in case of trees and vines, it is 18 years. Okay, from the date of registration of the variety. So whereas in case of your other crops such as horticultural as well as your agricultural crops, 15 years of protection period is given from date of notification of that variety by the central government under section 5 of CED Act 1966. Okay, so in case of other crops, you need to remember the whole statement, 15 years from the date of notification, right, under this section 5 of CED Act 1966. But in case of trees and vines, it is 18 years from the date of registration of the variety. Okay, so please do note down this. Whereas in case of trees and vines, it is your 18 years from the date of registration. Whereas in case of your other crops, it is 15 years from the date of notification. Okay, date of notification under section 5 of your CED Act 1966. So this is the period of protection, right? So we have just so what are the different types of varieties that can be protected under PPV FRA, and then what is the eligibility criteria, right? And then what is the period of protection in case of your PPV FRA. Okay. So now we will see what are the different rights that PPV FRA gives. So in the objectives, we just discussed that it gives certain specific rights to farmers, land breeders, as well as to researchers, right? So we'll just discuss what are the different rights. So there are three different types of rights, as we earlier said. One is your breeder's right, and then the researcher's right, and then the farmer's right. Okay. So coming to breeder's right. So whoever might be the breeder, okay, after getting his variety protected under PPP FRA, he will be given a certificate of registration that this variety has been protected under PPV FRA, certificate of registration of particular variety will be issued under the PPV FR Act. Okay, so what does this right means for breeder? Okay, so in case of a PPV FRA breeder's right, he has the right to sell, he has the right to produce, okay, and he has the right to market as well as distribute, or he can import or export. Okay, so the breeder has the right to produce, sell, market, distribute, and import export of the particular variety, right? So whatever the variety, the breeder has got the certificate of registration, so he can sell, he can market it, he can distribute it. Okay, he can also give it to any other his agent for all these purposes, not only he. Okay, he can also give it to some other agent so that he can handle all these procedures. So these comes under your breeder's right. Okay, and then coming to the researcher's right. So as I earlier told you in the case of example of Swarna, so let us consider that Swarna has been registered in the name of a scientist. Okay, so the scientist X has already registered Swarna under PPV FRA. Okay, But some of the young researchers, what they aim to do, they have aimed to improve this Swarna. Okay, they found that the cooking quality is not good, so they want to incorporate some cooking quality traits or genes into this Swarna. So for this, they need the authorization of the original breeder. Okay, so the researcher writes they can use this Swarna. This is the right, but they need the authorization. Okay, so they need the authorization of the breeder of this registered variety, whatever it might be. Okay, of the registered variety, so they need the permission or the authorization, right? And then they can repeatedly use this particular type of variety in their programs, so they can cross with anyone and they can produce a better variety than Swarna. Okay, and an improved version of Swarna, everything. Okay, so this comes under your researcher rights, but they need the authorization and permission of the primary breeder, where under which the variety has been registered, under whose name the variety has registered. Okay, so this is the researcher rights. And then coming to the farmers rights, whereas in case of farmers rights, so they can use the varieties of breeders, okay, for production, right? They can also use it to save and then resow in the next season. Okay, they can exchange the seed with the other farmers, or they can share them, exchange or share. Okay, and they can even sell the farm produce. Okay, whatever the yield that they got through the variety, they can sell the farm produce. Okay, right? But they cannot sell the farm produce of a particular variety which has been registered under a breeder's name by making some branding on it. Okay, so they cannot brand it. Branding is not allowed. They can sell directly, but they cannot make some commercial marketing strategies or branding the packets, etc. Right? So they can't make it. They can produce it, they can save, and then they can resow. They can exchange and share with the other farmers and some other companies. They can sell the produce, but they can't sell them by branding the farm produce. Okay, so there is no right for farmers to sell in the commercial marketing systems, so they can't brand them, but they can sell them without branding, right? So these are the different types of rights under your PPVFR Act. So breeders rights, researcher rights, and then the farmers rights. Okay, so as we have finished the PPFRA, we will just move on to IPR, that is your intellectual property rights. So before directly discussing about intellectual property rights, we will see what does it mean. What does the term intellectual mean? So the term intellectual means creation. Okay, nothing but your invention or innovation, etc. Or it is the ability to think. Okay, so this is what the intellectual term means, right? So looking at a bit history, so there is an organization named WIPO, that is your World Intellectual Property Organization. Okay, so all the member countries of this organization were assembled at Stockholm and signed this particular agreement in 1967, and then after 3 years it has been enforced, okay, to all the member nations in 1970. So this is important. So it has signed in 1967 at Stockholm and entered into force in 1970, right? So the WIPO headquarters is located at Geneva, Switzerland, and then the present director general is Darren Tang. So you also need to see after your JRF exam, who might the director general may change. So you go through their website and find who is the present director general. Okay, after your JRF exam. So just remember, it is headquartered at Geneva, Switzerland, and signed in 1967, and it has came into force in 1970. So your WIPO, this is the one which keeps an eye on all your intellectual property rights. Okay. So there are different types of IPRs. So one is your patents, copyrights, trademarks, industrial designs, geographical indications, which are commonly known as your GIs, right? Integrated circuits, and then the last thing is your trade secrets. And this is a special type. We will discuss it at last. And these are all which comes under your APRs. So intellectual property rights, they might be territorial in nature. That is, the rights which are present in India, they might not be applicable in other country. Okay, so they might be territorial in nature. Territorial in nature, one thing, territorial in nature. And then second thing is that there will be certain period, okay, or a certain term or a period will be given to a particular right. It is not like that, so it can be throughout the lifetime, right? So there is certain period or a term to the particular IPR. So we will see everything in detail. So coming to the patent, and so hope you guys are now aware of what do you mean by patent, right? Who gives the patent, etc. Such type of things. So patent is nothing but a legal form of protection. Okay, so patent is a legal form of protection which is given to the person who has invented a new thing, right? So it is a legal form of protection which is given by the government of a particular country. So if we see in Indian scenario, okay, so in India, the Indian Patent Act, it has been came enforced in 1970, and even though there were several amendments to Indian Patent Act in 2002, 2005, whatever it might be, but essentially the patent is nothing but a legal form of protection. So legal form of protection which is given to or granted to a person, okay, and it has clearly written here that it is for a limited period of time, right? So it is only for a limited period of time, so that he can make use of that money, okay, whatever he gains from the patent, only for a limited period of time. So in case of India, the term or what you call the patent period, so it is fixed to 20 years. Okay, if anyone asks you what is the term of the patent in India, it is only for 20 years in case of India. According to Indian Patent Act 1970, these act years are very important. Okay, so please to remember Indian Patent Act 1970. Just remember 1970, but amendments has been made in 2002, 2005, and several amendments were also made. But primarily the act has came enforced in 1970. So patent is nothing but a legal form of protection given to any applicant, okay, by the Indian government for a limited period of time, so that he can make use by selling those invention or by making money from that particular intellectual thing. And it also prevents others from copying those invention. Okay, so for example, if a person has patented something, he has invented a new thing and he has patented it, so other person, he can use it but he can't make money from it. Okay, so this legal form of protection, it will prevent the other members, okay, from making money from it. Only the person who has invented it can benefit from it, that too only for a limited period of time. In case of India, the patent term is for only 20 years according to the Indian Patent Act 1970. So the patent, the head office, it is located at Kolkata. Okay. So this is the thing about your patent. That is, the term is only for 20 years. and according to the Indian Patent Act 1970. So can everything be patented? No, only few very it has to be following some definite terms and rules. Okay, so if you want to patent a thing, it should follow some criteria, just like we saw in PPV FRA. So if you want to protect a variety, it should have passed it through some eligibility test, or it should have an eligibility criteria like NDES. So similarly, in case of a patent, so it should have three different things. Okay, so what is patentable? So it should be a novel one, which is nothing but a new one. It should not be the existing or improvement to an existing. Okay, it should be a new. It should be a novel one. Point number one, and then it should be inventive. Okay, it is not like that. It has already available in the nature. It should have some inventive step involved in it. Okay, and then it should have the industrial applicability. Okay, so if it follows these, so such type of things are patentable. Okay, so this is the thing. And then there are some type of things which are not patentable in any country, like for example nature of laws. Okay, so these can't be patented anywhere. There is no patent for nature of laws, or there is no patent for scientific principles which are already available in the nature, etc. Right? So these are the things which cannot be patented. But if you want to patent, it should have novelty, that is, it should be new, it should be inventive, okay, and it should have some industrial applications, etc. Only such type of things are being able to be patented according to the Indian Patent Act 1970. And coming to the second, right, so we'll be saying through copyrights, right? So everyone will be aware of what do you mean by copyrights. So even all these IPRs are a legal form of protection. Okay. So copyrights is an exclusive right which is granted to the author or creator or to any other agency, or it might be a business, etc., for their original work. Okay, right? So it is an right which is given to a particular creator or author or to a business or agency for their original work. So this right, it also includes the right to copy that original work. Okay, so the author can copy it again and again, as well as he can distribute it to the other members, right? Okay, and then others can also adapt them. So if the original author or creator, if he allows, okay, so they can adapt it, but without the permission they can't adapt, or they can't copy it, right? So such type of right is known as your copyright. So in India, copyrights come under India Copyright Act 1957. So the year is important, 1957. And then the term of your copyright. So can anyone say what is the term of the copyright in India? So what is the term of the copyright in India? In India, the term of the copyright is 60 years. Okay. So whereas in case of your patent, you saw for 20 years, right? So even in case of here, that is there is a limited time period. Okay. So it is 60 years after the death of author or whoever. Okay, whatever it may be, according to the Indian copyright. For example, a author has developed a software, or he has wrote a book, okay, in the year 2001, right? And then the author has died in 2030. So up to 2090, copyright is applicable on the particular thing like book or music CDs, etc., whatever it might be. Okay, so 60 years after the death of the author, up to 60 years, that is the whole lifetime of the author from time where he was awarded the copyright, plus additionally 60 years after his death, according to the Indian Copyright Act 1957. Okay, so this is the copyright period of protection. And then when you see the head office of a copyright, it is located at New Delhi. Okay, so this is everything about copyright. So even copyright is of limited period, but just a period more than the patent. Whereas in case of your patent, 20 years, it is also limited. And then whereas in case of copyright, it is also limited, but for 60 years even after the death of the author. Okay, so this is the copyright form of protection. And then comes your trademarks. So trademarks are nothing but, so it is clearly wrote that, so it might be any sign, okay, or symbol, design, anything where different business organizations can use these trademarks, okay, in their trading platform, so that customers can easily identify it, right? Okay, so this particular type of trademark is used only by this company or this business group, right? So it helps in the trade across the globe. So these trademarks are also a legal form of protection that is given to the authorities by the government agency, right? So in India, the Indian Trademark Act has passed in 1999. According to this, we will be giving the trademarks. So there are different trademarks. So there will be a company name, and then at the top there will be TM, or there will be SM, or there will be a symbol like this. Okay. So for example, if you take an example of a notebook company, Classmate, or whatever it might be. So you'll be seeing a symbol of like this. Okay. So I'll just explain you what are these symbols. So if it is written TM, it is nothing but your unregistered trademark. It is your unregistered trademark. So if it is written as SM at the top, it is your unregistered service mark. Okay. So if it is written R and circle, it is your registered trademark. Okay, so it is your registered trademark. So TM, SM, and R with an N circulation. Okay, so this is your trademark. In India, we will be following the Indian Trademark Act at 1999, and this has also been amended in 2010. So also remember this. So 1999, the act has passed, and we are following according to this act. But in between 2010, the act has got some different types of amendments, right? So what is the term of the trademark? So for how many years a particular company can use a particular trademark? Okay. So if a business organization or anything has registered in India, okay, the trademark, it is valid for 10 years, right? And it can be renewed from time to time. It is amended from time to time, but it is valid for 10 years. Okay, so it is valid in India for 10 years, and it can be renewed from time to time. Okay, so according to the Indian Trademark Act, in India, anything which is registered is valid up to 10 years, and then it can be renewed from time to time. So the head office of a trademark, it is located at Mumbai. Okay, so this is a thing about your trademark. And then coming to industrial designs, right? So these are industrial designs. So WIPO has give some particular definition how to define industrial designs, right? So according to WIPO, it is your World Intellectual Property Organization. So an industrial design, it may be a three-dimensional figure, that is your 3D featuring figure, okay, or it might be any shape, right, or it might be a 2D figure, etc. Whatever it might be, it might include your patterns, lines, particular color, etc. Whatever it might be. So it is just in the form of your design. And the most important thing is that it should have some ornamental and aesthetic aspect. Okay, so to this design, so whatever you include, it should have some aesthetic aspect. So such type of things are known as your industrial designs. And then in India, we will be following Indian Design Act 2000, which has came in force in the year 2000. Okay, so what will be the term of the industrial design in India according to Indian Design Act 2000? So it will be for 10 years, and even this is also renewable. Okay, so the industrial designs are also renewable, but these are valid for a period of 10 years. Okay, and then the head office is located at New Delhi. See, the head office has the year of these acts and then the terms. These are most important. Okay, and also the definition. So what to which form you will define a patent, a copyright, or a trademark, and industrial design. You need to know the definition. You need to know the acts in India and what are the year they have been passed, right? And what are the terms of the different forms of protection and where those head offices are located, right? So please be clear about this. And then the second, and then the other form of protection is your geographical indications, so which in short term we call GIs, right? So hope everyone will be knowing about it. So GI is nothing but a certain type of mark, okay? It just like an what do you call that, landmark type of things, right? So it is an indication in the form of, it might be in the form of your name, sign, or symbol, whatever it might be, okay, which is used to give to certain types of goods, right, which is giving to certain type of goods, so that they have some specific geographical origin. So this is the entire uh, primary core of GI things, okay, based on that geographical origin, okay, to a particular position, so where it has been manufactured, right? So there will be some speciality to that geography in our country. So whenever the goods are derived or produced in such specific location, so we'll be give some indications, and these indications are known as your GIs. Okay. So in India, it is Indian Geographical Indication Act 2000. It has passed in 2000, and then the term of GI. So even in case of GI, it is 10 years, and you can renew it after 10 years. Okay, even it is renewable. So also remember in which of the following forms of protection the term is renewable and which of the following is not renewable. Okay, so you also need to have an idea of it. And then the head office, it is located at Chennai in case of a geographical indications. So can anyone name which is the first GI? So which product has got the first GI tag? The first GI tag was given to which product? Do anyone have any idea? So the first GI tag was given to which product? So the first GI tag was given to Darjeeling tea. Okay, it was given to Darjeeling tea, right? So first GI tag, it was given to Darjeeling tea. This is the information about your GI, right? So the name itself indicates, so whatever the goods that are manufactured in a particular geographic location, they will be having a specific recognition in the form of GI. According to Indian Geographical Indication Act 2000, the term, that is the period of protection for the GI, is 10 years, and it can be renewed from time to time. Okay, and the head office is located at Chennai. So, and up to now we saw the different forms of protection, right? So, under which ministry do they fall? This is very important. So, have a look. So, the patents, and then the designs, your industrial designs, trademarks, and then the geographical indications. These come under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay. So, patents, designs, trademarks, and GIs comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So, copyrights, they come under Ministry of HRD, that is your Human Resource Development. Okay. Copyrights come under Ministry of Human Resource Development. And then the layout designs for integrated circuits, which are used in the semiconductor type of things, etc. So these come under Ministry of Telecommunication and Information Technology, IT, right? So layout designs of integrated circuits, they come under Ministry of Telecommunication and Information Technology. And then through which means the plant varieties can be protected by registering to PPV FRA. So the plant varieties protection comes under the Ministry of Agriculture and then the Farmers Welfare. Okay. So these are the different ministries which are been working. So please to have an idea of these different ministries, right? And then there is one organization. Let me just write what is that organization. So it is Controller General of Patents, Designs, Trademarks. Okay. So there might be a question in JRF. Expand CGPDTM. It is nothing but your Controller General of Patents, Designs and Trademarks. Okay. So this is the one which is working under this ministry and looking over patents, designs, trademarks and GIs. Okay. Whereas plant varieties, they come under PPVFRA. PPFR, and then the designs, patents, trademarks come under Controller General of those particular forms of protection. Okay, so please to have a note. So CG, PDTM, and then plant varieties under your protection of plant varieties and farmers right act in 2001. Okay, so also do note so which forms of protection comes under which ministry, etc. So now up to now we have discussed all the different forms of protection, that is your patent, copyright, trademark, and then GIs, industrial designs, etc. Right? And then we have left out with trade secrets. So what is this trade secret? Means how would you define the trade secret? It is just the term itself indicates that secret. So any information, okay, which is kept confidential, and it is been used in trade, or it is been used in making money in a huge amount, whatever it may be. Okay, it should be an information which is kept confidential. Okay, such forms of protection is known as your trade secret. So can anyone say an example of trade secret? So which comes under the example of trade secret? So the information which is kept confidential. So which comes under trade secrets? Trade secret might be in the term of like Pepsi company, they won't reveal the ingredients they add, right? And then Maggie powder, what everything. So wherever we can't be able to know the secret, okay, which is used in trade along the group across the group. So such type of protection is your trade secret. Whereas in case of trade secret, there is no limited period of protection. Okay, no one grants protection to this. The form of protection itself and confidential report, no? So there will be no limited period. Okay, it will be for forever in case of trade secrets. Right? And then coming to traditional knowledge. So this is also some type of um, property right. Okay, we'll just discuss in brief. So traditional knowledge is nothing but a skill or knowledge or certain type of traditional practices which are inherited from one generation to another generation and so on. Okay, these are mostly seen in tribal areas. Right? So such type of things are nothing but said to be a traditional knowledge. In the shortcut, it is TKS, traditional knowledges. Right? They will be passed on from one generation to other generation, mostly in the tribal areas. Right? So it might be any innovation, any skill, whatever it might be. Right? So, for example, it might be what do you call that? Using certain type of plants to cure disease. Okay, or it might be snake catching skills, whatever it might be. So these all come under traditional knowledge. Okay, so it might also be any particular forms of dances, rituals, songs, or what do you call cultural heritage things. Okay, handicrafts, whatever it might be. Right. So all these things come under the traditional knowledge. Okay. So mostly seen in the tribal areas. Traditional knowledge is mostly seen in tribal areas. And then there is one particular abbreviation TKDL, okay, which is nothing but traditional knowledge digital library. So in order to protect the traditional knowledge of our country, as our country has vast traditional knowledges, so in order to protect them, so TKDL has been initiated. That is your traditional knowledge digital library. It is maintained by two organizations, CSIR and then by Ayush. Okay. So traditional knowledge digital library is under the control of your CSIR and Ayush. Please do have the full form of this traditional knowledge digital library, which is under the control, that is CSIR, along with Ayush will be maintaining the traditional knowledge digital library. Okay. And then the last thing, that is biopiracy. So now we just came to know about what is the traditional knowledge, right? So some organizations or some countries may use or they will falsely use this traditional knowledge with an intention to gain the patent or protection over that particular knowledge. Okay, so some organizations may use falsely, okay, with an intention to gain a patent or protection over a particular knowledge. So then it is a case of your biopiracy, right? So we'll see two examples of biopiracy. One is turmeric patent and then the neem patent. Okay, so hope everyone knows that in many Indian households, so turmeric, it is used as an antiseptic compound, right? So whenever we are having any injury, we will immediately apply turmeric. It has been followed from many generations. Okay, but University of Mississippi Medical Center, USA, they have biopiracy of this turmeric patent. That is, they claimed a patent on the turmeric, stating that turmeric is an antiseptic uh, compound. Okay, means even though it is an antiseptic compound, they claimed a patent that it has the ability to cure diseases. or to cure injury, etc., whatever it might be, right? So the University of Mississippi, note down, University of Mississippi Medical Center has claimed a patent on the turmeric traditional knowledge. Okay, so they have claimed a patent on the turmeric traditional knowledge. And then the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, they jumped and they have said that no, you can't patent this turmeric traditional knowledge because it has been used in India as a traditional knowledge from uh, very long generation, right, from the very past. So every Indian households, everyone knows that turmeric has antiseptic properties and it can be applied in the time of injuries, right? So with the involvement of CSIR, the University of Mississippi and Medical Center, they have revoked this. So they have cancelled the patent on the turmeric, right? So this is one example of biopiracy. And then second example is neem. So similarly, neem traditional knowledge, it has been patented by Department of Agriculture USA. Okay, so in short form it is US Department of Agriculture, USDA. And then even when they patented the neem traditional knowledge, right? So this was again countered by Research Foundation for Science, Technology and Ecology of India. Okay, so they have countered the biopiracy and now the patent has been removed. So Research Foundation for Science, Technology and Ecology, they jumped into action and they countered this patent, right, for neem traditional knowledge. So these two are the examples of biopiracy. So please to have a note on this, right? So with this, we have also completed the intellectual property rights, and then along with that, we have discussed the traditional knowledge as well as misappropriation of traditional knowledge. That is your biopiracy. Okay, the two examples of biopiracy. So I hope that we are covered with PPV, FRA, and IPR in detail. So I thank you all for attending the session. If you have any doubts, you can just write in the chat box or in the comment box. I'll just see and reply. Thank you.